Hello and welcome to the third program in our 2024 series of Consciousness Central. I'm your host, Nick Day, and in this program I talk to philosopher and author Susan Schneider about the imminent promise and potential hazards surrounding AI and what all that might tell us about consciousness. I was honoured to meet with Thomas Brophy, recently appointed president of the Institute of Noetic Sciences, otherwise known as IONS. And we will explore the connection between energy healing and quantum physics with Dr. Master Sha, who is trained in both Chinese and Western medicine. All this and more in another packed edition of Consciousness Central. So I would like to welcome to Consciousness Central Susan Schneider. Susan, welcome.
Hello.
Hello. And I'm going to just read a little bit about Susan to help introduce her. Susan writes about the nature of the self and mind, especially from the vantage point of issues in philosophy, AI, cognitive science, and astrobiology, which is basically all the things we love. Before opening the Center for the Future Mind, she held the NASA Chair with NASA and the Distinguished Scholar Chair at the Library of Congress. In her recent book, Artificial You, AI, and the Future of the Mind, she discusses the philosophical implications of AI and, in particular, the enterprise of mind design. Schneider recently completed a 3-year project with NASA on the future of intelligence. She now works with Congress on AI policy. Is there anything more you would like to say?
Nope.
Are you happy with that? Okay, very good. So we've got some things to talk about, I think, there. Can you introduce yourself? What's your passion? What are you doing? Why are you at TSC?
What am I doing?
Yeah,
okay, so they invited me to be one of their keynotes, and I talked about the global brain and how AI, the AI ecosystem is a new form of intelligence that we shouldn't anthropomorphize, and how we could be nodes in that larger computronium. That's what I called it.
Oh, nice word.
And that we need to think very carefully about how it will impact our lives and consciousness, and understand the new evolutionary principles of that computronium, because they're not always Darwinian principles. And so it was a call to action.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
This word, let's just tease that open a little bit.
Sure.
Because I'm hearing it for the first time and I didn't say
I made it up.
I think it's a wonderful word.
Actually, I think I probably heard it in science fiction somewhere, but it's just like really cool. But what I mean is, you can think of the internet as sort of an algorithm that consists of many, many other algorithms. And so I think of the computronium as the constellation of AI services, Gmail, Wikipedia, together with the fiber optic cables and the nodes in the system and the server farms, the whole shebang, everything that comprises today's internet, both the public internet and the not so public internet. So I call that the computronium. And I think that part of the computronium that is most interesting to me philosophically is what I call a mega system, a system that is made up of AI services that are interconnected, and maybe there's a kind of hidden layer depending upon like how it relates to particular governments and agencies and whatnot. And there'll be AI mega services that congeal and have causal relationships, and will be part of that as nodes. So right now, the best analogy I could think of is the way people get tethered to the social media apps. And the way, like, for example, say you're on Twitter or Facebook. Hopefully you don't do this anymore because you realize what it is, but, a like button and, the, dopamine rush when somebody shares your post, you get hooked. And of course the AI companies do it on purpose because they know that it maximizes your time on their platform, and then they can sell you stuff and sell your data. So we know that we're part of a loop in fact, there's a really good trade book on this called The Loop. And a lot of these issues have been detailed by the Center for Humane Technology and the film Social Dilemma, which is free on Netflix, which everybody should watch. It's a great documentary.
Film. Great documentary.
Right. And so I worry about how this is going to play out in the future when you add the new large language models, generative AI developments to the mix. And you also add the increasing connectivity that you'll see with the Internet of Things, 5G networks across the globe, you know, as they improve, you see further generation improvements, and global sensors. I mean, you know, there are a lot of global dangers, so we need global sensors, but they need to be part of the AI megasystems.
Well, what I'd love to do, because we are at the Science of Consciousness conference, is to kind of draw our attention towards consciousness as well. And so what can we learn about consciousness by this?
I love it. So I'm apparently an expert on machine consciousness, which is sort of funny to say, because how do you ever have an expertise about something when we don't even really know what the AIs will be like in the future? I don't think that the AIs today are conscious, but I do think that one issue that comes up is if you have like an internet ecosystem, you can see it heading, if things continue in a certain direction to where there are these mega systems that will have potentially emergent features. And, you know, you might wonder if at some point there'll be something like a phase transition and you'll see consciousness properties. And of course, intelligent systems in general exhibit all kinds of intriguing features. So you might wonder, would a mega system be a mind? And I stressed in my talk that we're nodes in the computronium in the way that I described. And so it's an interesting intelligent system in its own right that has conscious parts, but that doesn't make it conscious, right? And then you can also ask, like, what's the relationship between a human as a node and the larger system? Well, I think it's interesting philosophically. So I think it's a case of an extended mind. I think this entity, like, suppose that you have just one mega system that's highly integrated causally. So there are a bunch of AI services and they're fueled by generative AI, and say we're at like, you know, GPT-11 or something, and humans have brain-machine interfaces and they're connected, they're really looped in. Then I think you start getting into questions about what that cognitive system consisting in us as nodes and this entire system is like. And I think it's a great case of extended cognition.
Yeah.
And then you can debate whether that entity's minded. Does it have a mind? That, I think, hangs on whether that entity is conscious, right? And that gets into the debates about machine consciousness. And I think here the question is whether a highly distributed system could constitute a conscious system in its own right and not merely have as parts nodes that are conscious.
How do you personally, you know, you've seen the emergence of AI and then before that the internet, and how does it feel for you? Do you feel, are you afraid, or are you excited, or is a little bit of everything? Or how does it affect you in your life to be part of this massive change? Because this is a revolutionary moment. We're
is an interesting time in human
history.
We're
churning something.
Yeah, if you think about all the technological changes that have happened to humankind over the last 200 years, it is just mind-blowing. Yeah, especially, I mean, in the last 50 years, the scientific and technological innovations, the longevity that we've seen happen over the last 100 years, the connectivity of the globe.
Right.
There's a lot going on. Earth is buzzing. And I surely do worry about it. I mean, I have for years been interested in questions about the future of humanity and existential and catastrophic risk. And so as a mom, too, I mean, it definitely hits me. And, that's why I decided, it's sort of, you have to really pick how you spend your time. And so I decided to open a center, and I invite people to get involved with that. It's called the Center for the Future Mind, and you can get on the email list, and even people can donate if they're concerned about these issues to fund projects involving the survival of humanity. There's a lot to do, but yeah, it does keep me up. I much more would like working on consciousness.
Yeah.
I think that's more fun.
Well, that'll go on forever, I think, because I think we're so caught in something which it may be forever, ever. The pursuit, I think the orders of science required for us to understand might, is there a reduction base for consciousness from reality? Will we ever get there? Or is it just one more order of mathematics?
Yeah, it's an absolute privilege to think about those, just like it's a privilege to think about things like Gödel's incompleteness theorem, and
exactly.
you come up against the absolute limits of what humans might be able to figure out. Which is really about the nature of human knowledge, and in the case of the Gödel thing, mathematical knowledge. And I think that's where I love to live. It is in a world of uncertainty, but appreciation of the philosophical questions.
Right. Yeah, appreciation, wonderful, qualia.
Yeah.
You see, eventually it's all really qualia, it's all quality, and all the quantities all just floating around.
Consciousness is a beautiful gift.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's why we need to sort of really keep our eyes on the ball with these technologies.
Excellent. And with that, Susan, I'd like to thank you for talking to us today, for sharing your time and your thoughts. It's been great.
My pleasure. Very
Super.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah, pleasure. And if we're here in a couple of years, we'll have another chat. Hopefully.
Sure.
I do hope you come back anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
With all these parties, are you kidding? I'm here.
All right. Thanks very much. Right. So I am now with your name, sir.
Father Kevin Goodrich.
Father Kevin, welcome to TSC 2024 and the poster session. Can you tell us concisely and yet elaborate and illuminate us with what's going on here?
Of course. So the Cloud of Unknowing is a 14th century English medieval text. And it's written by an anonymous monk writing to a younger monk to teach him a way of deeper prayer, of silent prayer. And what is fascinating about this is that secular meditators from today, Buddhist meditators, Christian meditators, people from a variety of backgrounds have been drawn to this text because they feel that it's describing something in their own experience. So in the East, we often associate forms of meditation with wordlessness, imageless, not thinking of anything, clearing your mind. That's not really, in classic Christianity, that's not really what meditation means. Meditation is more chewing over like a verse of scripture or chewing over some idea. But in the Cloud author, he actually advocates forgetting doctrines, forgetting the things that you normally might think about in your worship and spiritual life, letting those go so that you can be open to receiving from ultimate reality, from God. So that's why the Cloud continues to be of interest to many people.
All right, so that's very interesting. I'd never heard of this, but it is kind of fascinating. He sort of stands alone, I guess, in the Western tradition, talking about emptying out, not meditating on a thought or a prayer or a teaching or something like that.
Well, there actually is a strain called the apophatic tradition, or the via negativa, in the Western mystical tradition, which advocates forms of clearing the mind, though it's a clearing not for peaceful nothingness or being caught up into a great, existential reality, is to receive God's love. So throughout the Cloud, it talks about love and this union. So when you're clearing your mind, you're clearing to prepare yourself to receive something, to receive someone.
All right. So actually, I have to say that in a sea of neuroscience and physics, here we have a little cloud of illumination to just sort of brighten up our day. Thank you very much, Father Kevin. That's great. I am with now, and what is your name, please?
Ramanujam.
Are you Dr. Alagar Ramanujam? Your name is here.
From India.
And you've come from India. Whereabouts in India?
Chennai.
Yes, okay. I know it in the south. I visited. Okay. Welcome to Tucson and TSC.
Thank you.
Is this your first visit here?
Now, USA I have visited several times. But here, this is the first time.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, fantastic. Thank you. So you've brought a poster with you, and the title of the poster is The Being and Becoming Process of the Primordial Consciousness. So can you give me some idea, like an overview fairly briefly? What is this about? What's going on with your poster?
Yeah, generally people think that consciousness is a product of the human brain.
Indeed.
But,
indeed. Yeah.
but it is not like that. The human being is, the brain is a product of the consciousness.
Okay, so you're saying the brain is the product of consciousness. Right.
Because consciousness existed before anything else existed. So it is not the outcome of the human brain. But people say here, brain is a source of consciousness. It is not like that. Okay? Consciousness was there even before the brain was formed. Consciousness is a beginning.
Right.
Beginning.
Right.
Then it became the particles.
So we're saying here that consciousness is primitive to the universe. It's the first thing. It's the ground of all things and all being, which is very much the Advaita Vedanta position as well.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
So what we have some images here of the world and nature and various other things, and these are all related together here. Yes?
Yeah. So the same consciousness is evolving like that. Is evolving like that.
Yes.
So what is the next stage? Nobody knows.
Right, so the next point is a question mark.
Question
We
mark.
don't know where we're going. Right, we don't know where we're going next. And we have some physics going on over, mathematics rather.
Because, the scientists, they discovered a law, is it not? Who became the law? The consciousness became the law.
Yeah.
And you are discovering only that. Okay? You are honoring the person who discovered the law. But we have forgotten the consciousness which became the law.
Uh-huh.
Is it not?
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Okay, this says, it is a matter of great irony that we recognize the person who discovers a law, but not the consciousness which became the law. Okay, very good.
Okay.
That's a very interesting position. Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Yes, a pleasure to meet you. I'm here with, and your name is, sir?
Jeff Sugar. I'm a child psychiatrist.
Jeff Sugar is a child psychiatrist, and you have a poster that is an electronic poster here.
Yes.
And so could you give us some sort of overview of what it is and how it works?
Well, it's about the idea that not everyone, but many people want to look at consciousness as if it's residing in the brain. And my suggestion is that's looking at it through the wrong end of the telescope. You're looking from outside inside. You should be looking from inside out. Well,
Right, so they should be using the right end of the telescope,
right.
which is a kind of a metaphor for something.
For a metaphor for understanding that the survival value of consciousness lies with the interaction with the external world. It's not all about the brain itself. So what many people who struggle with explaining how we get phenomenal consciousness, what it's like to be me, what it's like for you to be you, what people call phenomenal consciousness. That's the hard problem. How do we go from matter into something that's more ethereal? So this just basically says no matter how detailed you get, you can go inside the brain, you're not going to find consciousness anywhere. So people who claim that they have solved the problem usually get to some point where they talk about neural correlates of consciousness. So it's parts of the brain that are lighting up when someone's having a conscious experience. And then they do some hand waving and they say, so consciousness is whatever it is. It's this global workspace, or it's the collapse of a wave function or something like that. So this says, as anyone who's taken a course in statistics knows, a correlation is not causation. So you can have a lot of things that are correlated. People who drink coffee, maybe they smoke cigarettes, and that's bad for their health. Coffee is actually good for your health, but if you only looked at people drinking coffee, you might think that it's very deadly, and it's not. So the way I show this with a little humor is this. So this is the logic of most solutions to the hard problem of consciousness. So you have someone's making an origami rose. So they start here, they fold here, make another fold, and then there's the rose.
Yes, okay. Yeah, that's good.
So that's my analogy of when people say they've solved the hard problem.
Right.
They do a couple of things that make sense, and then they kind of wave their hands, and they get consciousness.
And your name is, sir?
Palash. I'm currently studying computer science at the University of Wisconsin-Madison.
And your poster is called Measuring Effect of Writing, Journal and Prayer on Emotions Through Brainwaves Using EEG. That's a very long title.
An EEG is a device with which we measure brainwaves. So over this study, I had 60 participants basically journal and pray over 10 days to see the effect of like how it played into their emotions. So the idea was make them think of something bad and then have them journal, record their brainwaves before and after, and like see if it led to like a positive effect. And out of those 60 participants, 83% saw a very positive improvement at the end of the study. So we were able to like sort of verify the fact that scientifically we can see that there is like a positive impact of journalism. We get more positive brain waves. Alongside that, we also are able to comprehend our emotions a lot better.
Right. Is that what we're seeing here with these? What are like these graphs? What does this represent?
These are like the recorded brainwaves.
Yeah.
All of these classification techniques used right here are used by an AI, which uses a lot of like pre-trained data of like what brainwave is positive, what brainwave is negative. We know alpha waves are positive, we know beta waves are negative.
And when we look at this, they're obviously different, but what can you tell the difference between? What is it telling you?
So
how do you read it?
So to me, well, I'm not very studied in like graphs and how brainwaves work.
Oh, okay.
But that's why we used an AI,
Yes.
which basically knows what this brainwave means.
Okay.
And if you can see over at the
Yes,
end,
let's just move
it
up a little
basically plotted out what exactly that brainwave would correspond to. So like a certain brainwave would like this anger bubble cloud, which is like certain brainwaves which fit that field, they like get plotted as dots. And you can see like those kind of set up themselves in a way where before journalism there were a lot more dots towards the anger side, and there's a lot less dots of that towards the joy side once they're done journalism.
Wow. So your conclusion that you can draw from this is that if people just simply pray, meditate, keep a journal, they change their mental state and their mood.
In a general sense, they would. But of course, the idea is self-therapy, self-help, journalism, prayer, all of these things could affect a person differently. What works for one person may not work for another person. But with like a very diverse group, we had people all the way of age 15 to like a person who was 59. So checking over a lot of different people of a lot of different ages, different backgrounds, and seeing that all of them saw a generally positive trend, like it was a pretty conclusive study that journalism and prayer is like a very good way to like find help and like deal with negative emotions.
Okay, Palash, thank you so much. That's good work. And coming next, I was honoured to sit down with Thomas Brophy, who was recently appointed president of the Institute of Noetic Sciences. It's been 50 years since the founding of IONS by Apollo 14 astronaut Edgar Mitchell, and since then it's evolved into one of the world's leading interdisciplinary scientific research institutes. So congratulations to all our friends over at IONS, including Dean Radin, Arnaud Delorme, Cedric Kennard, Andrea Livingstone and Lauren Carpenter. The work IONS does is always exciting and original, and we wish Thomas Brophy all the best in his tenure as president. I'd like to welcome to Consciousness Central, our beautiful location out here at Stuart Hamaroff's house. This is Thomas Brophy. Thomas is recently appointed the director of IONS, the Institute of Noetic Sciences. Am I right in that, Tom?
Yes, I'm president of Institute of Noetic Sciences.
Right, I apologize. President, yes, right.
Well, I just started on March 1st, so I'm still getting my feet wet and learning about the organization and doing a lot of learning and generally helping guide the organization into the future. And this is ION's 50th year. It was founded by astronaut Edgar Mitchell 50 years ago. And so it's a really exciting time because IONS is very much interested in this, what I think is a revolution in science that's going on, that's bringing in consciousness into our scientific models of reality.
Yes, exactly. So what was your journey to this position?
So before IONS, I was president of California Institute for Human Science, which is a small graduate school and research center. And we just got accredited. We got CIHS accredited while I was president just in 2021. And okay, so we're going kind of back in time on my biography, and I was invited initially to CIHS by the founder of CIHS, the Hiroshi Motoyama, a mystic and yogi and philosopher who founded CIHS, because I was writing a book on this topic of the mind-body problem and physics, because my academic background is physics and planetary astrophysics and working with the NASA Voyager project at the University of Colorado Boulder, where I got my PhD. And I got into physics because from an early age, I was fascinated with this problem of consciousness and how we can operate so miraculously in the world like we do.
Right. So as a physicist, you were interested in consciousness. So not so many physicists are, I think.
Yeah. I'm I'm a little different in that way, in that that's why I went into physics in the first place. I had anomalous cognition experiences when I was a kid, and it appeared to me that the culture around me said, well, science says that your experiences can't be true; they can't happen. But they were my own experience, so I figured, well, I'll go into the most fundamental science and find out if that's true.
As a physicist and a consciousness researcher and someone interested in this, have you found, without sort of putting any words in your mouth here, but have you found a pathway that seems to resonate for you?
Yeah, well, I'm really resonating with Roger Penrose's approach in his two books, The Emperor's New Mind and Shadows of the Mind, especially his second book, Shadows of the Mind. And when I read Shadows of the Mind, especially the second half of Shadows of the Mind, I was really excited because it seemed to me to be a much better articulated version of a sort of insight that I felt like I had many years ago, and I wrote about in my little-known book called The Mechanism, Demands, and Mysticism. There's the non-computable aspect of the collapse of the quantum wave function that is like I look at it as like a hole or an opening in the structure of physical reality for something beyond that to enter. And then so Roger set up that whole structure, and he was looking for a biological mechanism to apply it in, and that's where Stewart supplied the microtubules. And there's been these conferences are really wonderful, and there's a lot of debate about microtubules, or do microtubules really do this, or do microtubules really do that? And I think there could be more. I think there should be more discussion about Penrose's most fundamental idea in the first place too, because I think that's really key as well. Whether or not microtubules is the only way to do it or not, Penrose really had the fundamental physics insight.
So IONS has a long and very glorious history, actually, and I've been there a few times. And your main scientist, Dean Radin, who is really, I know he gets criticised right, left, and centre, but I think he does fantastic work. How's he doing? What's going on over there now?
Dean's doing great. He's doing a new project, and a number of projects. IONS has 28 active science projects right now, and Dean's doing a new version that is he actually uses the word magic now, testing the magical ability of human beings on a new version of the optical diffraction experiments that he's done before.
Okay, and you have other things going. Obviously, it's not just Dean, but can you sort of outline some of the other sort of projects that are going on?
Yeah, well, IONS has for many years done very significant, maybe the most significant work, including Dean's work in parapsychology in various ways. And recently, we've developed 2 or 4 new strategic initiatives. Those being how the future of consciousness will connect with AI. One, and another is the UAP phenomenon, which is really our cultural views of UAP phenomenon is changing, and the A in UAP is now anomalous, unidentified anomalous phenomenon, not just aerial phenomenon. So that's 2, and also IONS. One of the new directions is environment, consciousness in the environment, and the fourth. What would be the fourth? Well, anyhow, I'll say what ties them all together is the consciousness revolution in physics, in science, that is really at the root of all these directions, and that's where IONS has the expertise and 50 years of experience and experiments as well on consciousness and how consciousness interacts with the physical world. So that's really the core of what IONS is doing, and sort of the reinvigorated direction is bringing that core into these very important new things that are going on in the world.
So you have this thing happening online at the end of May, but I gather the IONS conference, but also there's something happening in August. What's that?
Yeah. In August 15th through 18th, it's Revolution 2. So last August, we had Revolution 1 conference, which was titled Neuroscience Needs a Revolution to Understand Consciousness. Stuart Hameroff and the Arizona Center for Consciousness Study teamed up with me and CIHS. And it was a really extraordinary conference, a lot of interest in doing it again next year. So we are going to do it again next year, and we're bringing in as partners this summer, this next August, IONS, Institute of Noetic Sciences, and here at Tucson, the Center for Astrobiology with Dante Loretta and Stuart, who's now with the Center for Astrobiology, and it's Revolution 2. And so now it's going to be science needs a revolution to understand consciousness and the evolution of life. This series of Revolution conferences, we think, is really exciting, and it's sort of a subset of these Tucson conferences. But at the Revolution conferences, we have an active point of view that science needs a revolution to understand consciousness. Neuroscience needs a revolution to understand consciousness, and science itself needs a revolution to understand the origin of life and consciousness and how they operate in the physical world.
Again, I'd like to thank you for talking to us today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And now, in this next special feature, we take a closer look at the science and practice of energy healing. Our guests include Dr. Master Sha, who draws upon the transmission of quantum information to bring about healing, and his collaborators, Dr. RUILIN XIU, who is a quantum physicist, Dr. Peter Hudoba, who is a Western physician, and Dr. CONSUELO FERNANDEZ, a pain specialist who herself was healed from a heart condition following a transmission from Master Sha. Now, while this kind of practice is controversial in mainstream medicine, it's been beneficial to many people, especially where Western medicine has little or nothing left to offer. Clearly, the mechanistic model and approach to healing is just one part of a much more complex picture of how our bodies function and ultimately what we are. So I'd like to welcome to Consciousness Central Dr. Master Sha. He is a scientist, a doctor, and a healer, bringing together a spiritual and scientific approach. And welcome. Thank you for coming. So perhaps we could just start. Could you just give me a little bit of a background for yourself? What's your journey to where you are now?
Thank you. I was born in China. at age 6, I started the Tai Chi, Chinese Tai Chi movement. And at age 10, I started Qigong, India yoga, China Qigong. Qi means energy, Gong means practice. Then I did Shaolin Kung Fu. I studied Yi Jing Feng Shui. I studied Western medicine as MD and the doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, acupuncturist. Now I focus on Tao science and soul mind body medicine, and I teach people spiritual healing. And finally, Tao calligraphy, Tao science, Tao hand. Tao means the source. Lao Tzu, the author of Tao Te Ching, give the concept, Tao. So therefore, I teach, share Tao healing, Tao transformation, Tao calligraphy, and related with the source, spiritual service. Therefore, from all my background, now I turn to the Tao source healing. I create we have more than 7,000 healers. The Tao give me a wisdom. Tao give me a wisdom and the power, transmission, a light from the hand. Then people connect the hand. The hands can go to remotely in quantum physics, quantum entanglement. A place, everybody in the B place. If I send my spiritual treasure from here to anywhere, even I wrote a calligraphy and people connect with this special energy field, and I offer remote service. I have thousand heart-touching results for healing now. I train medical professionals now in this medical conference. I give example today, this morning, my healing session. One man since birth, deaf, difficult to hear. Deaf is very difficult. I give boom, transmission right away. I walk until the gate. People very impressed because this is difficult sickness. You ask me how it can happen. In scientific way, we talk dimensions. Mother is in the third dimension. There's a Buddha, Saint Jesus, Mother Mary, Buddha in the fourth dimension. Millions of people follow each of them. I'm not talking about religions. I talk about spirituality. And the science and the spirituality should connect as one. Dr. RUILIN and Dr. Peter Hudoba, I have two leading teachers. One is co-founder of Tao Science. The book, can you give me the book? So this is Peter Hudoba today, and our host will interview him. Previous neurosurgeon. Shen means soul, heart, mind, medicine. Next one is Dr. RUILIN, Tao Science, the source science. This is Tao Science, wisdom, and grand unification. I like Dr. RUILIN share with you what's the mean grand unification. So therefore, this is I come to this conference is to share with the scientists the healing. 1 second, I connect with the higher dimension. You see the room here light very bright, and if in the room nighttime you switch off, dark, sun, light of the dark night. When people have pain, inflammation, tumor, cancer, is this we have the blockage. We call negative information. Now I connect with, for example, people blockage here. I connect with here. Transmission, light, light up. And people block it here. I go higher, transmission. So therefore, I'm like a servant, a channel to bring the higher light come in. I have so many heart-touching stories. Many medical professional people, more and more. I just position myself, servant, channel, share ancient Tao, put in a scientific way, and to serve. That's basically my little report.
That's great.
So how I do this, I connect with the source, but you have to get God approved, we call the God, the source approved. Not everybody can do this. It's you have to become a channel, formal channel. When you transmission, they give the light. Otherwise, they don't give to you. Like a unique servant, a special servant, a channel. But I train our people. Now I have almost 100 people worldwide.
Oh, you do?
They can transmission also.
Yeah.
Because why? It's through the training with the divine, with the source, properly delivered. And you have to give a result. You cannot say everybody see transmission does not work out.
Right.
Then, today, this morning, one man come here. He's a big speaker. He said, read so many books. He said, yesterday, I just passed by. You did healing. So many people there. I found the line. I'm back. A lot of trouble. You just transmission touch me one second. This morning, get up, if I have no more pain anymore. And he come to my boots. He said, it's unbelievable, just 1 second. My pain disappeared. And one lady come in this morning, give me flowers. Yeah, I was very moved. He said, I see Master Sha in this event 2 days ago, and I have the knee issues. 1 second, Master Sha, transmission, light coming, I feel much better. And the second time, my risk, and I'm leaving now. It's morning 7:15. Right we come, hold the flowers, crying. She lost her husband, so sad. Sometimes even didn't want to leave anymore. And one transmission for me, for risk. She said she feels so much better for release. That the grief is so deep. We understand whatever people feel. So I give a transmission, thousands of miracles. So the reason is I'm the servant. See here, he has 100 dimension blockade here. I connect with n+1. 100 dimension plus 1. 101 dimension. I connect, I prepare, close eyes. I do transmission. It's my special word. Relax. Transmission. And David, go ahead. Peter, explain. You close eyes. You close eyes.
Oh, that's remarkable. There was, as Master Sha was preparing, there appeared a big golden white ball of the light above her head, and when he said transmission, that was like a Niagara Falls of light. Went through her, all 7 chakra, the whole system, and it cleared lots of it.
So therefore, today we met another scientist, like Dr. Ruilin, learned quantum physics, and he said, what you are doing, higher dimension. I said, I never heard about this, but he studied Tai Chi, Kung Fu, Qigong. He said, you talk about a higher dimension, invisible light in 1 second. I never heard about it. And he did the job. That's why every morning, every day, so many people, everybody phone the line, transmission, heart, kidney, transmission, legs, liver, transmission. I did like this. And people fascinated. Okay?
Wonderful. Very good. And with that, Master Sha, thank you very much for coming in and talking to us. It's been a pleasure. And wonderful. Let's, if anybody wants to find out more among the people watching.
DRSHA.com. Dr. Sha.
Yes, right. Dr. Sha, DRSHA.com. If anybody wants to find out more about your healings.
Yeah. And then people can go to Instagram.
Okay.
My teaching, millions and millions of people.
Right.
Real people watch Instagram, Master Sha.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you so much. A pleasure. So I'd like to welcome to Consciousness Central Dr. RUILIN XIU. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Perhaps you've co-written this book with Master Sha, The Tao of Science. What's your role in this? What's your background? Where are you coming from?
Yeah, so I'm trained as a quantum physicist to get my PhD in UC Berkeley and got on the grand unified theory, which is trying to find the one mathematical formula to describe everything. And so I'm working on that for many years, but I couldn't make the progress I really wanted. And then I met Dr. Master Sha. I was very touched by his dedication to serve humanity, to help in release other people's, help others become healthier and happier, and also his wisdom, and also, of course, his power to help people. And so I started to study with him. I suddenly started to have insights. One of the first insights is one day on the Master Sha's workshop, I just suddenly had this aha moment. It's like, wow, this quantum physics is really just about the soul. So we physicists, for a long time, we couldn't understand quantum physics, because quantum physics is talking about the soul. It's a science actually studying the soul. And because we, as a scientist, we don't understand the soul, that's why we cannot understand quantum physics.
Being a science conference, I'm going to have to just press you on one thing here.
Yes.
So the word soul is not really a scientific word.
Yes.
Can you provide a definition that would start to make sense to the science community of what soul is?
Yeah. So that's I think the starting point of our work. And I think you're asking a very important question. The soul is all related to the information, the message. And but then a lot of us don't realize actually in quantum physics, the whole quantum physics is talking about quantum information. In fact, quantum physics, one of the signature of quantum physics is probabilistic. Einstein said he don't like it because he don't think that God is playing the dice, right? That's been probabilistic because he think everything, science should be deterministic, right? Quantum physics realized everything has this probabilistic nature, which is about the nature of information. So you hold the information, I hold the information. Everything has information inside. Information determines, what gives a form and a shape.
Like from a science perspective, can you perhaps give me an idea? What is Master Sha doing? What's happening? From the science perspective.
From science perspective is that the soul, right, being the quantum information in our field, determines every aspect of our life. That is the essence. And also our physical life is, can be short, right? But our spiritual soul can be internal, have a long journey, and because quantum information and quantum field, even your body stop functioning, but the part of the information can still keep on its journey. Right now, many sicknesses, depression, anxiety, pandemics, environmental issues, wars. So all of these issues, according to Master Sha's teaching and also our Tao science, it's due to your soul has problems. We call it soul sickness. And so in Tao science, we actually can give the soul sickness a scientific definition, which is basically the negative information. And we can mathematically define what is negative information, which is disconnection. So if my body disconnected, I'll be paralyzed, right? If you and in family there's some disconnection, disharmony or disorder, then there's some problems. So healing is trying to transform those negative information into positive information, the connection, order, and harmony. If we separate our mind with our body, with the physical aspect, we really actually become more fragmented, and also and our soul, our heart, and really I think a lot of suffering is coming from that separation. So that's why I think it's urgent right now to calling for the unification between science and spirituality. Yeah.
Yes, perfect. And with that, thank you, Dr. Xu. I've enjoyed talking to you. Thanks so much for sharing your thoughts with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I'd like to welcome to Consciousness Central Dr. Peter Hudoba. And he is a neurosurgeon and a neurologist, I believe, and a neuroscientist. I think you cover the neuro range of neuros from all across. So you're working with Master Sha, and as a physician, if, say, Master Sha treats someone who's got some ailment with part of their body and the organ or what have you, as a physician, how do you see, what do you feel is happening there? That approach versus a Western approach.
So as Dr. Ruilin and Dr. Sha already explained, he can connect to the source. And from the source he brings information to the area that needs help. So very simply I would say we have the dodgy ticker. Someone heart is not beating regularly. And then it gets really out of control. There is a tachycardia or flutter. So what do? We take a machine and zap it up. Right. We bring the information to the heart and we reset it. We stop and start behaving, and then the heart starts to beat properly. So Master Sha does something similar, but much higher level. He brings an information to the heart, and then heart, the information works with all information which is in the heart already. In every cell we have a genes, for example. We have a RNA, DNA. That is all information. So he brings that supra information to them, and that system starts to work better.
So in your book, you have many case studies. You've seen this many times.
Yes,
this is clearly a truly documented, effective modality for healing people and treating people. So it seems to me that if it's so powerful and successful, part of your mission, I assume, I can see, is to bring it to a wider field so that medicine can really reform itself and move forward. There's something missing in Western medicine that you seem to be providing.
Movement is already there.
Yes.
All major universities, Harvard, Stanford, even MD Anderson, they all have integrative clinics. Right. It's coming in, unstoppable.
So it is happening.
It's happening.
That's really good.
I met Dr. Master Sha in October 2000, and then right away by the end of the year, he was setting up the research study. So when I saw him in January 2001, we were just going on in it. And then we presented first paper in summer 2001 in New York, and then we have done many studies. I think we finished 19 clinically based studies, like following university protocol system, everything according to books, and then more than 600 people enrolled, and over the years, I've seen again and again and again, systematically the same. It is working.
Peter Hudoba, thank you again. And thanks for sharing your thoughts with us today. I'd like to welcome to Consciousness Central Dr. CONSUELO FERNANDEZ. She is a pain specialist. She's traveling with Master Sha. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And could you tell us something about your role in this, and how perhaps your journey, how is it, something changed along the way, I guess?
Yes. In 2008, at that point, I had been struggling for 8 years with a life-threatening heart condition, and there was no solution for me in modern medicine. So I was always searching for a solution. I had learned that the last place that disease manifests was on the physical level, and I had learned that the root of sickness is at the soul level, but I didn't know how to transform the soul. So when I saw Master Sha's book, Soul, Mind, Body, Medicine, I knew this was my answer. So he was coming to a medical school where I lived. I went to see him. He gave me a transmission of light. That transmission of light that he gives is at a higher level, a higher frequency than the level of the blockages that people have. So he gave me a transmission of light that at a higher level than my soul blockage. And I turned on the treasure. I practiced with it for 2 to 3 hours a day. And in 2 weeks, I saw my specialist, and I was able to get off of all medication after having been on medication for 8 years. So now, 16 years later, I have not had to use any medication for my heart, and all symptoms had resolved. So a few years ago, before the pandemic, I had the opportunity to do research with my patients who had chronic pain. So we enrolled 45 patients into the study. They received a transmission of light to heal pain, and they were also given a book of Master Sha's with calligraphy in it. So they were asked to turn on their treasures and then trace the calligraphy for 30 minutes a day. We gave them metrics to fill out before the study started and at the end. And we found statistically significant reductions in pain in these patients. And even more so than that, for me, was I watched their lives transform. So every time they came in for a follow-up visit, I was watching them transform before my eyes. They walked in the office with light. They were tracing at night before bedtime to relax themselves, decrease their pain so they can fall asleep. They were able to sleep for longer periods of time. They weren't missing work as often because their pain was under control. Their relationships with their family, their coworkers were improving. So I was very pleased to watch the transformation in every aspect of their lives. So it wasn't only the pain, but their whole life changed.
Let's say, coming at it from the general medical profession standpoint, do you kind of have an explanation that you can give to them that they sort of can understand? Because it seems like there's always a little bit of a resistance to this kind of approach.
Physicians are resistant, patients were resistant, but patients would say, I'll do anything to get rid of this pain.
For sure. Yeah.
So, I mean, at the end of the first month, the first visit, one patient came in and said, you know, I really didn't think this was going to work. He said, but my pain is gone.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important for us to do the research.
Yeah.
If you can show people the research, then they'll pay attention.
Exactly. Well, Dr. Fernandez, thank you so much for coming today and sharing your thoughts with us. We're here at the Art Tech section for TSC 2024, and I'm here with, your name is, sir?
Scott Olsen.
Hello, Scott. And we've met before, Scott, so very nice to see you again.
Good to see you again, Nick.
Okay, we're looking at some really extraordinary, beautiful shamanic art here, indigenous shamanic art. Is this your work?
This is the work of Pablo Amaringo's students, and some of it we have Pablo's originals. I have some prints of as well. So I used to go down into the rainforest to work with the shamans with the ayahuasca, met Pablo Amaringo, started buying his artwork, and then I was switched on to his students. And the students he trained to paint in the rainforest, very carefully, draw, etc. They're disadvantaged children, gave them the art materials, everything for free. Now, by the way, I go down, teach these artists sacred geometry, and now their children. We're doing the same thing. So we bring the art materials, we give everything to them free, as the drawing compasses and straight edges. And so as they have grown up, they become these dynamic, incredible artists, almost like Pablo Amaringo himself. So I've collected this over the years, I brought it here, and then I kind of combine it with my sacred geometry work. I wrote the Golden Section after having this major experience in the rainforest with ayahuasca. Awake for 19 days, and out of that, in 6 months, I'd written my Golden Section book, now in 9 languages, and it ties in beautifully with the objective, orchestrated objective reduction of Penrose and Hammeroff. So.
Excellent. That's always good to know if you come to TSC. If you somehow can tie it to Orco,
it's tied in, absolutely.
You're welcome
with
back.
The microtubules. And in fact, we've gone further. If I can reach over, could you hand me? Oh, here.
Shuffle a little bit.
Yeah, the more recent book, A Grand Unification of the Sciences, Arts, and Consciousness. I did it with 3 physicists. Muhammad al-Nashi, the main one, twice nominated for the Nobel Prize in Physics, once nominated by Ilya Prigogine. And it's all Golden Section related. And it's tied back to Plato and what Plato had discovered with the one and the indefinite dyad. And nowadays, he created the E-infinity theory, and it's stunning, it's incredible. So that's kind of the geometric, mathematical background associated with all of this here.
This piece is really outstanding. It's filled with very powerful symbolic imagery. Are you able to interpret some of the imagery for me?
Well, certainly, yes. These usually occur during maybe an ayahuasca ceremony. So you have the shaman in the center there, and you see the jaguars. Now, the jaguars, the reason you typically see a big cat in these type of paintings, they're the top of the food chain. And so all of the consciousness of the entire rainforest, all of the life and the awareness is present in the jaguar. Also in the lower part, you see the ayahuasca vine in the very bottom where it kind of twists, and with the ayahuasca flowers and chacruna leaves over in the corner there.
Here we have indigenous art blending with a certain type of, let's say, Western psychedelic art. So perhaps it has some, how should we say, cultural point of connection in both directions.
Yes, I think that's really well said. This is a very special form of art. They call it Neo-Amazonian art form.
It has a name. Excellent. Neo-Amazonian.
Yes. And of course, you have like Amanita muscaria mushrooms down in the corner there. And, you know, different types of animals. Hummingbirds are extremely important in the shamanic tradition, as are the various birds, the peacock here, the owl. And you typically will have some type of spirit present in these ceremonies that they go through and have these incredible experiences. This particular artist, Alfredo Zagacita, he has actually created a studio where he uses a black light the whole time. Okay. But this is just to kind of show what is possible with this to see.
Great. Okay, Scott, thanks so much for sharing all this with you. This is great, very interesting. Okay.
Wonderful to see you again.
So that wraps our third program of Consciousness Central 2024. I hope you enjoyed it. In the next episode, we'll be finding out about the general resonance theory of consciousness from its proponents, Tam Hunt and Jonathan Schooler. Conference founder Stuart Hameroff talks about what's next for TSC and for him personally as he retires as an anesthesiologist. And we feature an exclusive interview from 2004 with the late great philosopher Dan Dennett, who sadly we lost earlier this year. Until then, this is Nick Day saying thanks for watching and bye for now.